The U.S. Army fights for control of sprawling Panama City, where looters rule some streets and snipers kill from rooftops. The first American dead from the Panama invasion are returned to U.S. soil. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rattle reporting. Good evening. President Bush said today in a news conference that the combat situation in Panama is, and I quote, pretty well wrapped up. However, fighting has not ceased. Gangs of looters are on the loose. There's much chaos, and the exact situation is, frankly, hard to make out. There is no trace of Manuel Noriega. U.S. soldiers tonight face the prospect of house-to-house urban warfare and/or jungle chases. Aircraft today began returning remains of American fighting men who died in the action. The official version is that U.S. military casualties now stand at 21 dead, more than 200 wounded, 4 missing. 5 of the wounded servicemen are in critical condition. The new U.S.-installed Ndara government made its first move today. It imposed a curfew. Our CBS News correspondent Juan Vasquez has been in Panama City for quite a while. He spent several harrowing hours being evacuated and being among the missing, but we now believe we have him up on a telephone communication from Panama City, and we want to try it. Juan, if you're there, what's the situation?
Dan, American forces are still coming under sniper fire in Panama City, and U.S. officers admit many sections of the capital are not secure. The soldiers from the 82nd Airborne said they have not met with organized resistance since they parachuted into Panama and seized the international airport after a firefight with soldiers from the Panama Defense Forces. However, they continue to be the target of snipers and occasionally run into roving bands and armed civilians who take shots at them from passing cars. There's also been extensive looting in downtown Panama City. At mid-afternoon today, President Guillermo Ndara declared an immediate curfew until 6 o'clock Friday morning. Dan?
Juan, how does this impact on the lives of civilians?
Well, in the first place, as the efforts continue to pacify Panama City, the number of prisoners under American control is growing. 4 busloads of prisoners were seen at Howard Air Force Base this afternoon, but there's also a lack of food and shortage of all kinds of services. Consequently, there's a growing refugee problem. A U.S. Air Force colonel told reporters there are more than 5,000 refugees at a local stadium, and no one is prepared to care for them. Dan?
Thanks, Juan. Various Panamanian sources insist that civilian casualties are very high. There is no independent confirmation of this. Now, for other news from Panama, CBS News correspondent Richard Schlesinger in New York begins our report.
U.S. troops moved into Panama City today to try to take back the streets from snipers and armed bands still loyal to ousted General Manuel Noriega.
There's some pretty bold fellows out there who are still willing to take a few pot shots.
9,500 troops were brought in to reinforce the 13,000 already in Panama, the largest active deployment of U.S. forces since Vietnam. This is now largely an urban war, and Panama's capital city shows the scars of battle. Houses and businesses in the city have been destroyed during the fighting. Large numbers of Panamanians have been made homeless, and for them, the U.S. Army has provided makeshift shelters, a place to rest, a place to wash. Looting is reported out of control in some sections of the capital. In the midst of all this, the newly sworn-in government of Guillermo Ndara is trying to exert some control. The new president made his first public appearance since the invasion and urged national reconciliation. Ndara also imposed a curfew until 6 tomorrow morning, but there were still crowds on the streets this afternoon. Behind the scenes, the government moved to take over key ministries and appointed a new ambassador to the United States. Both Panama and the United States are paying a high price for the survival of Ndara's government. Casualty figures are mounting daily. The economy, already weak before the invasion, is now all but destroyed.
With Noriega, there was an even bleaker future. So if that is the price that democracy costs, that is the price we're willing to pay.
For now, there are immediate needs in Panama. There is a critical shortage of food and medicine. The Panamanians have issued an urgent call for assistance to help the country get through the next few days. Richard Schlesinger, CBS News, Miami.
A top planner for the U.S. Joint Chiefs said today that American forces have no intention now of even trying to control the entire length of Panama. He said they will only try to occupy an area from Rio Hato, about 60 miles west of Panama City, to Fort Cimarron, which is about 20 miles east of the city. U.S. forces do not plan at present to operate in Noriega's home province of Chiriquí. That's up near the Costa Rican border, where some think Noriega may try to hide. The Pentagon said the U.S. forces have achieved most of their objectives in Panama City. U.S. paratroopers eventually evacuated Americans trapped in the Marriott Hotel. Other American soldiers surround the embassies of Nicaragua and Cuba in case Noriega seeks refuge there. The U.S. troops destroyed the airport where Noriega kept his own aircraft. Panama's international airport remains closed to commercial flights. There was some firing around that airport today. More now on the next step for the U.S. fighters. From David Martin at the Defense Department.
An American soldier in the streets of Panama City today. This is what the Pentagon calls mopping up. The other areas where American troops struck on Tuesday are reported quiet, but Panama City is plagued by snipers and looters.
There's a lot of areas in Panama City where problems exist. As far as people in Panama City who are armed, both Dignity battalions and some Panama Defense Force individuals, they are in that city. We are moving in today to get them.
What's left of Noriega's headquarters shows how intense some of the fighting has been.
There were a few that fought us from room to room. It took us about an hour and a half to clear out the barracks area and get those people out of there.
The rubble has yielded what may be a motherlode of information about Noriega's financial and drug dealings.
We have discovered a large cache of papers in the Comandancia headquarters building. Obviously, they will be studied for any possible evidence, purposes in criminal cases against Mr. Noriega.
Noriega remains on the loose.
You got to give credit where credit is due. Mr. Noriega is a very skilled thug. He has eluded us. We're continuing to look for him.
U.S. soldiers have put the Cuban and Nicaraguan embassies under surveillance on the chance that he might be there. $1 million in reward money has spawned a welter of Noriega sightings.
We've got him in 3 different countries, 12 different locations in Panama, and 10 different locations in Panama City. We do believe he remains in the country.
U.S. forces will also remain in Panama. Exactly how long will depend in part on whether American soldiers are sent out into the countryside to root out forces still loyal to Noriega. David Martin, CBS News, the Pentagon.
In retaliation for the U.S. military presence around the Nicaraguan embassy in Panama City, Nicaragua's government established its own military presence tonight around the U.S. embassy in Managua. The Nicaraguans brought in 15 Soviet-supplied tanks and an anti-aircraft battery in the back of the embassy. They also stationed 4 armored personnel carriers in front of the U.S. embassy. CBS News in Managua, Nicaragua, quotes officials inside our embassy as saying they can move in and out pretty much at will. In Washington, President Bush defended the timing, military strategy, and justification for striking en masse at Noriega. He portrayed the U.S. action as, and I quote, pretty well wrapped up. White House officials insisted that Mr. Bush will begin a 10-day vacation tomorrow as scheduled, even if American forces remain in combat in the field. CBS News White House correspondent Wyatt Andrews has more.
The United States.
The rout of Noriega marked the first time President Bush had sent men into mortal combat, and today there were no second guesses.
Every human life is precious. And yet I have to answer, yes, it has been worth it.
For a president who paints himself as cool and cautious, Mr. Bush today revealed the gut emotional reason he ordered the maximum response to Noriega's provocations. It came in the context of answering Soviet objections to yesterday's show of force.
If they kill an American Marine, that's real bad. And if they threaten and brutalize the wife of an American citizen, sexually threatening the lieutenant's wife while kicking him in the groin over and over again, then, Mr. Gorbachev, please understand, this president is going to do something about it.
Embarrassed that Noriega himself escaped the invasion, the president described the effort to capture Noriega as open-ended.
The good news, he's out of power. The bad news, he has not yet been brought to justice. So,
despite having installed Panama's new government on a U.S. military base in the middle of the night, Mr. Bush claimed President Andorra had started to govern.
I'm pleased that the Indira government is taking charge, and they've made several appointments today.
But others said the new government would likely need the protection of a U.S. occupational force for months, that for now, President Indira has no real power.
They have no roots, they have no resources, they have no structure, they have no experience. It's going to take time, therefore, and it's going to mean that we're going to have to support them.
As American troops then settle into Panama, the president goes off tomorrow on vacation. The White House said the president may take a day of that vacation to visit the soldiers wounded during the invasion, but has made a firm decision not to go to memorial services for the soldiers who were killed. Dan?
Thanks, Webb. And still to come on the CBS Evening News, hostages held by Noriega partisans in Panama, and a communist government atrocity in Romania.
That'll be a charge. We interrupt this purchase for a reminder.
Don't forget, Santa.
'Tis the season to be choosy.
La 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 la.
That's it. So choose the card that actually pays you cash back for every charge. The Discover card.
That's a great idea. You sure know how to pick 'em.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
This is it. The big night is almost here when I'll announce the winning numbers for more million-dollar prizes than ever. And you may have the winning number for the biggest prize of all, $20 million. January 26th is Get Rich Night at American Family. You may be our next multimillionaire. $20 million all for you. In America's only sweepstakes with my picture. Enter now.
One major task the U.S. troops have tonight in Panama is trying to find and rescue Americans seized by Noriega loyalists or perhaps by gunmen who take orders from no one. Correspondent Eric Ingberg has a report.
Because it was popular with Americans, Panama City's Marriott Hotel had become a dangerous place.
Press! CBS!
This morning, one day after dozens of Americans staying at the hotel were terrorized and some kidnapped, U.S. paratroopers were sent in to protect them. The rescue was ordered even as chaos reigned in Panama City. It was ordered by Secretary of State Baker, reflecting fears Noriega henchmen might try to seize more Americans as pawns.
There may be some hostage situations around. There are some people unaccounted for. We're concerned about that. And I can assure you that all of our intelligence assets, all of our resources are turned to that problem.
U.S. officials still don't have a good handle on how many Americans have been taken captive so far, but they discount claims by Noriega backers that more than 50 hostages are being held.
We have a lot of reports. Some of the reports will prove to be true. Some will prove not to be true.
One confirmed case is CBS News producer John Meyerson, seized at gunpoint during the U.S. invasion. 11 scientists from the Smithsonian Institution doing research on a Panamanian island were also captured, but there were unconfirmed reports today they've been freed. Military analysts say Noriega, aware that hostages are a sensitive issue to American presidents, had a carefully laid plan in place to grab Americans.
It is possible that he'll cover his bets, hold some hostages in case he's entrapped, to hope to use them to bargain his way out to safe haven.
President Bush today seemed to have had the same idea.
And if we get more Noriega, in quite a pretty much likelihood they'll be released, unless somebody wants to use held American as a ticket to get out of town.
Given the rampant chaos in Panama, analysts also believe some Noriega Confederates may take hostages without orders to use them as bargaining chips to avoid punishment for their own crimes. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Washington.
The federal judge presiding over the Weapons for Iran criminal case against Admiral John Poindexter today postponed the trial, postponed it for a month until February 20th. The judge wants to see excerpts of former President Reagan's notes and diaries to determine if they are relevant to Admiral Poindexter's defense. Poindexter maintains they will prove that he had authorization for everything he did as Mr. Reagan's national security advisor.
Anyone who drives at night knows how important road signage is to safety. That's why 3M is improving signs like this, with brighter signs like this, made with reflective materials invented by 3M to help you see better at night. In fact, the sign on the right is up to 10 times brighter than the sign on the left. And that makes a difference anyone can see. 3M reflective materials, another example of how a 3M innovation is working for you.
It may be Red Lobster's most perfect meal. Petite Danish lobster tails. The sweetest ever. Plus flame-broiled shrimp. Delicious. Next, sizzling scampi. All this lobster and shrimp on one plate. Perfectly priced. Just $8.95 for a few weeks.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
And for the holidays, call for party platters to go. Ready in just 1 hour.
When you get a cold or an allergy,
You need some herbal tea.
you also get a lot of advice.
What you want to do is feed a cold.
A lot of advice.
Take Judy to call me in the morning.
But the best advice is what doctors have said millions of times. Take Dimetap. Dimetap in non-prescription formulas brings proven relief. So take the advice of doctors and pharmacists.
The tea work. Huh?
And take Dimetap. The best advice you can take.
Romania's hardcore communist leader Nicolae Ceausescu answered growing protest and demands for his ouster today with more bullets and brutality. U.S. embassy officials say at least 13 demonstrators were killed. That's today alone in the Romanian capital. This following still unconfirmed reports that thousands may have been killed in the Romanian city of Timișoara last weekend. Correspondent Martha Teichner in London has our report.
The bloody end to the rally Nicolae Ceausescu intended as a show of support for himself gave the West its first hard evidence of the force he is using to keep his regime from crumbling. For the first time in his 24-year reign, Ceausescu was booed to his face while he harangued the crowd. Abruptly, Romanian radio cut to music. According to those who heard from eyewitnesses, a massacre followed.
He saw two people crashed by their armored vehicles lying on the pavement, and those who had tried to take the bodies or to help to those who were wounded were shot by the police.
We've heard shooting and seen traces of fire in the sky. My colleagues have seen 8 or 9 bodies, mostly apparently students, visibly dead, bleeding from head wounds in the street.
Shadowy photographs and recordings of gunfire have reached the West after last weekend's reported massacre in Timișoara. Accounts of as many as 4,000 dead prompted demonstrations all over Europe today. At noon in Budapest, drivers stopped their cars in protest. Black flags hung on buildings. The brutality of today's response to popular resistance in Bucharest is the latest indication that Ceausescu intends to hang on to power, no matter how many of his own people he has to kill. Martha Teichner, CBS News, London.
In much of this country today, you didn't need the weatherman to tell you about the calendar and what the weather was. All you had to do was step outside and find that it's the first day of winter. An Arctic blast coming on top of another Arctic blast closed hundreds of schools from Montana to the eastern seaboard. The sub-zero cold set records for this date in Chicago, Omaha, Dubuque, and Topeka, among other cities. Combined with high polar winds, that cold is now linked to more than 40 deaths in the U.S. since Friday.
Succulent shrimp primavera. Juicy barbecued chicken. Luscious pot roast. Watching your cholesterol. Instead of saying goodbye to food like this, say hello to this, Stouffer's new Right Course.
Baby, it's alright. Baby, it's right course.
11 great-tasting entrees with controlled amounts of cholesterol, fat, and sodium. Right Course. One taste, and you'll know Stouffer's got it all right.
This business may seem like easy work, but try doing this with minor arthritis pain. For years I took aspirin, but now there's Advil. My doctor got me to try Advil for my arthritis pain. You know, one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin, and that's the kind of strength I like. Advil gives me hours of relief, yet it's gentler to my stomach than aspirin. Advil does wonders for my aching joints and for my green thumb. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Of all the Subarus registered since 1979, 93% are still on the road, which could mean the new Subaru Loyale will still be good on a hill when other cars are over it.
We interrupt this vacation to remind you the Discover card pays you cash back for every charge.
Fabulous.
It pays to Discover.
The bombing of Pan Am 103 over Lockerbie, Scotland was a year ago today. Families of the 270 victims held memorials on both sides of the Atlantic. Theories and possible suspects still abound. No one has even been arrested, much less charged. Correspondent Peter Van Sant reports on the legacy of Lockerbie.
The tears of sorrow still come easily at this girls' school in Albany, New York.
It's been almost a year. We're still all grieving.
They grieve for their classmate, Melina Hudson, 16 years old when she was murdered half a world away over Lockerbie, Scotland. A memorial is dedicated. Melina's mother, Eleanor, and her husband, Paul, have decided to go to Lockerbie to see where their daughter died.
I want my daughter to know that she did not die alone.
Here.
How are you? The mass murder from the terrorist bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 turned Lockerbie into the place where the victims' families come to grieve. Christine and Howard Hanna live near the spot where the main fuselage fell.
It was horrific. You know, I think, excuse me, I thought about these people waiting on that plane. Oh, it must have been awful.
The people of Lockerbie are trying to return to a normal way of life. Christmas, canceled last December, will be quietly celebrated this year. Children are skating again at the local ice rink, where last year bodies covered the ice. The enormous crater left after the crash has been filled in, and new homes are under construction. The physical scars have healed. The mental scars will take longer.
Emotions are real, waiting. It's going to be a difficult time.
After the disaster, searchers picked up more than 20,000 personal belongings, which had been strewn over 845 square miles. Many items have been returned to victims' families. The Hudsons came to search for Melina's possessions.
Jeez, look at this.
In this room are the remnants of lives destroyed, a baby's booties, a student's sweatshirt, Christmas presents which were never opened.
My husband found it. Unidentified, and I brought this to her in November.
A sweatshirt and Melina's school yearbook, found amid the wreckage. In the hills outside Lockerbie, the Hudsons met with the sheep farmers who found their daughter's passport. It was a moment when Mrs. Hudson found some peace of mind.
Well, you know what I felt badly about is that Melina died away from home.
From home.
And that I thought she died with strangers.
No, but she didn't die with strangers, no.
Late today, relatives of those lost in the Pan Am disaster huddled together to share their sorrow. On a day when grief is also being felt far away from Lockerbie, the memory of those who died not in war but by a terrorist bomb was honored with light. Peter Van Sant, CBS News, Lockerbie, Scotland.
I've never been that much of a cereal eater, or even breakfast for that matter. But then I read 2 or 3 different articles about oat bran, and I thought to myself, why would you not eat this stuff?
Medical reports have shown oat bran can be important to your good health. Kellogg's Common Sense Oat Bran has more oat bran than any leading ready-to-eat cereal.
You know, I get up 15 minutes early just so I can do this.
Common Sense Oat Bran. A sensible thing to do.
This December, things are really heating up. Heating up at every GM division. Each dealer is out to make December hotter than ever before. Like with the luxury of special monthly terms Cadillac style. Special GMAC Smart Lease terms on luxurious Cadillacs let you travel in the passing lane without leaving your comfort zone. Yes, this December is incredibly hot at every GM division. It's GM's Hot December. Come feel the heat.
I just cannot believe this.
Wow, I am totally freaked out.
Could this be a dream?
It's no dream. These people all won big money in the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes.
Look at all these zeros.
And what am I going to do with all this money?
Now you can win $10 million if you stop what you're doing. Look for this house and enter the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes. You'll be a millionaire if your number is announced on TV this January 26th. The Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes.
Believe me, believe in it.
Across the United States of America tonight, families mourn in this holiday season set aside to celebrate peace on earth. They are surviving relatives and friends of the 19 servicemen the Pentagon says have died so far in the invasion of Panama. Bruce Morton has the story of valor and sacrifice.
The bodies had come to Dover Air Force Base from Lebanon, come from Grenada. Today, the first American dead from Panama came home. Drums beat. Navy Secretary Lawrence Garrett had some words for the families.
Nothing I can say will diminish your grief. You must grieve and you must cry.
They did, in rooms full of tinsel and Christmas lights. Ivan Perez's mother cried. His sister talked about how she learned of her brother's death.
I just saw my dad and his face, and I knew it was my brother right away. It was like, he didn't have to tell me anything. I just knew it was him.
Friends remembered Jerry Davis of Hope Mills, North Carolina.
I didn't think it'd be him. He was too hard charged. He loved the military too much. He loved the country too much to have it be him. So it was just a shock.
Remembered Scott Lee Roth, age 19.
He used to always talk about how he loved the military and how he wanted to serve, our country.
A high school football coach remembered James Markwell of Cincinnati. He didn't make the first team, but he made the 82nd Airborne and died in Panama.
Whatever he did, he was going to do it 100%, and I know he would enjoy what he was doing. And I know that the fact that he was over there, he was good at what he was doing. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been there.
John Patrick Connors was a Navy lieutenant, one of the bodies flown home today.
He was a kid who really had a lot to give and gave it regularly without any fanfare.
Roy Brown's family, Buena Park, California.
If by going down there he could help rid us of somebody like Noriega, then I don't feel that he would feel that his life was sacrificed for no reason.
The four brave men we mourn here today now rest in the quiet arms of a grateful nation and a loving God.
The cause was good, the leaders say. The families grieve anyway. It is bitter cold this Christmas season, and for some in America, this is a time of mourning, not of joy. Bruce Morton, CBS News, New York.
And that's part of our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. If anything breaks in Panama, you will see it and hear it on this CBS station. See you tomorrow. Good night.
I'm Kathleen Sullivan.
And I'm Harry Smith. All of us from CBS This Morning want to wish you a happy and healthy new year.
This is CBS.